You have not arrived here by chance. The simple fact that being listening to these words at this moment is part of a larger alignment than you think. There are silent forces that shape each step of the way, and today you have tunned with one of them. It is as if the universe itself has opened a breach amid everyday noise to lead you to this moment. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and notice. There is an invisible wire that connects all the experiences of your life so far. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was in vain. Everything brought you to this point where reality begins to align gently with what you are becoming. We often believe that transformation requires hard effort, endless battles, nights of sweat and sacrifice. We are taught to believe that only those who fight without rest deserves to win something. But what if the truth was another? What if the real change didn't come from over-effort, but from harmony with what you are already waiting for you? This is the silent law that has always existed. Reality need not be forced. It only responds to what you are, not to what you demand, not what you beg, but what you become. Imagine now that every breath of yours opens a door. Inhale, and a new possibility is presented. Expire, and old resistances begin to dissolve. The air that enters and leaves is not just biology, but the reminder that everything in life is movement, flow, dance. There is a deeper pace than the clock, wider than the concerns of the day. This rhythm runs inside you, driving your history as a river leads the water to the sea. You don't have to push the river because the river already knows where to go. Each night, when you close your eyes to rest, a part of you awakens in another dimension. The body relaxes, but consciousness continues to create, absorbing, reorganizing. Sleep is more than a break. He is a portal. During rest, your mind ceases to resist, and in this surrender space, reality bends to the state you carry within you. This is why so many ancient traditions treated sleep as sacred, because in it you sow what will flourish when you wake up. Maybe even today you have believed change only happens when you force, but this journey will show you that this is not so. There is a different way, quieter, deeper, more effective, a path where you are no longer a hunter of results to becoming a magnet of possibilities. And it is in this state of surrender that reality begins to reorganize, as if every detail around you is moved to serve the new you who are born. Think of the hidden seed under the earth. She doesn't fight with the ground, does not shout to the sun, does not complain about the darkness. It only keeps within itself the code of what will be. And when the time comes, this code awakens without effort, no doubt, just sure. You are this seed. Within you there is already the full design of who you are intended to become. No need to invent, just reveal. And this revealing begins here, now, in the silence of the night. While listening to these words, realize how your breathing changes. Slower, deeper, as if each inspiration connected you to something bigger, as if each expiration cleaned ancient memories that no longer serve. The heart finds a calmer compass. The muscles start to release tensions that you didn't even know you carried. The body understands what the mind still tries to understand. There is nothing to conquer by force because you are already in the process of alignment. It's already happening. Feel the space around you for a moment. Imagine it as a living, pulsating field, sensitive to what you emanate. This field does not respond to its despair, but to its state. When you stir, it returns chaos. When you silence, it returns clarity. When you resist, it hardens. But when you surrender, it opens like the sky at dawn. You are not an isolated viewer within the universe. You are part of it. You are the field itself. Every thought of yours is a sign. Every emotion, a silent command. Each internal view, an invisible mold that reality fills. Today you start to remember that you are not overdue. It is not broken. It is not out of the way. All in your life, even falls and delays, was part of the curve that brought you to this point. Just as the wave needs to retreat to gain strength before you advance, you also needed breaks to prepare this moment of advancement. And now, at this moment, reality begins to move in your favor, because you finally put yourself in tune with what has always been your right. This is not the way of effort, but of memory. You don't have to scream for the world to hear. You just need to whisper to yourself, "I'm ready." You just need to feel inside your chest. And from that moment, the field around you reorganizes like a mirror that never fails to reflect what you carry. The mirror does not create the image. It just returns. This is life. She doesn't invent for you. It only returns what you hold. Therefore, allow yourself to relax. Deliver to the flow. And let, as long as sleep approaches, reality alien alone, silent, around what you are already becoming. When you begin to realize that reality does not require you to force but simply align yourself, a sense of relief takes over. It is as if an invisible weight is removed from your shoulders. The mind has been trained for years to believe that there is only progress through constant struggle. But the heart knows another language. He knows that the greatest transformations arise when there is confidence, when you allow the flow to conduct each step. Imagine the water of a river. She does not fight with the stones, does not revolt against the curves of the way. It just follows, surrounds, and with patience molds even the firm rocks. So is your journey. The more you resist, the harder it seems. But when he learns to surrender, he finds that his own life is in charge of opening passages. This is the secret that has always been before you. The universe is not an obstacle to conquered, but an ally to be heard. It is curious how so many people believe they need to prove value through excessive effort. But deep down, what really transforms is not brute force, but internal tuning. You do not shout before the mirror to change your image. You adjust your body, and the reflection responds without delay. Similarly, reality does not require desperate demands. She responds to what you embody. Every emotion, every thought you accept as truth, becomes the language that the field around you understands. Realize it now. Take a deep breath and feel like the simple act of choosing a different thought changes the internal atmosphere. If you decide to think of scarcity, the body stifles, the breath shortens, the mind accelerates. But if you decide to think of abundance, the chest opens, the air circulates more lightly, and a quiet calm sets in. This difference is not just psychological, it is energetic. The field around it absorbs this change and begins to reorganize immediately. Life is not expecting you to gain everything by force. She is waiting for you to allow it. May you accept that there is already a moving code within you, and that this code knows how to flourish. The seed does not doubt the sun. She does not fear the time of waiting. It simply trusts its nature because it knows that it already carries the whole drawing of what it will be. You already carry it too. There is nothing to invent, just revealing. Now imagine that every thought you hold is like a musical note. If you vibrate in the question of doubt, the field responds with confusion. If you vibrate in the note of trust, he responds clearly. And if you vibrate in the note of love, he responds with harmony. The secret is not to play all the notes at the same time, but to choose those that really represent what you want to live. This is why so many sages of the past talked about the importance of agreement. It's not about how many thoughts you have, but which one you decide to sign as yours. Think about it as a silent contract. Each time you agree with an idea, you are signing an invisible deal with the universe. And the universe fulfills its part. If you signs with the foul, get more of it. It signs with abundance, it manifests itself. It's simple but powerful. Because you don't have to move external mountains, just adjust your internal signature. Reality does not require you to strive to exhaustion. It only demands that you align yourself to sustain within you what you want to see reflected. When you understand this, you realize that the fight is unnecessary. The true change does not come from the scream, but from the constant whisper of certainty. It is not the pressure that transforms, but the coherence between who you are inside and what you want to live on the outside. You may have experienced this in small moments, when, without thinking too much, he just trusted, and something unexpected opened before you. When he released control for a moment, and suddenly everything seemed to fit. These were no chance. They have been memories that life already knows the way, and what you need is just to be carried away. It is in this state that you discover a new language, the language of resonance. Instead of worrying about asking, demanding, pleading, you simply vibrate what you want. As a frequency that spreads through space, its inner state calls closely what already belongs to it by nature, and the field has no choice but to answer. Because in the end, life is a perfect mirror of what you support in silence. Therefore, allow yourself to relax even more. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and feel how easy it is to align. There is no effort, no charge. Just one reminder: you are already on the way. It is already being transformed. And as you rest while the night deepens, the entire reality begins to reorganize to reflect what you become. If this message made sense to you so far, I want to invite you to continue with me on this journey. Subscribe here on the channel. We are building this together, and reaching the 1,000 subscribers is our first big step. Each person who enters strengthens this project and helps to give voice to independent creators like me. And I want you to be part of this walk not only as a spectator, but as someone who shares your own experiences. Leave in the comments how you feel your life aligning yourself in recent times. It can be a small change, a new thought, or even a story that marked its transformation. By dividing this, you not only strengthen your way, but it also inspires our entire community to realize that change is possible, real, and is already happening. Who you believe to be is largely what the world insists on confirming back to you. Life seems to have this almost magical feature of mirroring what you assume is truth about yourself. If you see yourself as someone limited, circumstances seem to organize to reinforce this limit. If you see yourself as a worthy and capable someone, reality finds 1,000 ways to deliver evidence of this value. This is no coincidence, it is silent law. What we call identity works as the filter that shapes each experience you find. From an early age, we are receiving layers of names, functions, roles. Son, student, professional, friend. Each of these labels becomes a wire in the fabric of what we think is our essence. But the curious thing is that behind all these layers there is a part that never changes. An untouched core, which was always there before you even assumed any title. This core is its deepest identity, not the one defined by the world, but the one that pulsates silent within you, hoping to be remembered. You may have felt it at times, a feeling of not fitting in certain papers, as if we were wearing an outfit that was not made for you. It is because true identity is not imposed, it is revealed. And while you insist on supporting only what the world has imposed, it remains trapped in a repetitive cycle. But when it decides to soften the rigidity of the old I and makes room for the new, it discovers that reality reorganizes itself instantly. Imagine yourself as an actor on a stage. Every day you can choose a different costume. If you wear someone's clothes, the plot that unfolds before you will be full of closed failures and doors. But you dress the clothes of someone confident, who already carries within the desired future. The public, which is reality itself, responds to this role. The interesting thing is that you don't have to convince anyone. Just inhabit this character internally and life responds. The subconscious, however, is stubborn. He likes to preserve ancient standards because the acquaintance conveys security, even if this known is painful. That's why you are so often trying to change and seems to be pulled back to the same point. It's not because something is wrong with you, but because the deep mind insists on keeping what is familiar. The key is not to fight it, but dialogue with this part of you. Instead of rejecting the old me, thank him. Recognize that he has fulfilled a role here, but now you choose a new way. This simple gesture opens a crack for a renewed identity to begin to settle. It is not about desperately desire. It is about taking silently, I am. I will not be, I will be, not I want to be, but I am already. When this internal agreement is signed, the distance between you and your vision begins to disappear. You stop running after and walk inside it. True identity is magnetic. When you wear it inside, people, opportunities, and circumstances inevitably fit around you. Perhaps doubts arise. Perhaps the memory of the old you still try to call it back. But note, these voices are not proof that you have failed. They are only echoes, shadows that lose strength as you insist on sustaining the new way of being. Gradually, these voices shut up, and the new state becomes natural. Even in silence, the world comes to realize the difference. The energy changes, the look changes, and before you realize, reality itself no longer recognizes that you old. The question that echoes inside the awakening is simple. Who do I accept to be now? This is the root of all true change. Because it's not just what you want to achieve, but what you get to embody. If you want prosperity but insists on wearing the scarcity costume, reality will continue to repeat this version. But if you begin to walk, breathe, and feel like someone prosperous, inevitably life is organized to reflect this state. This process is more powerful than any external effort, because the world responds to the coherence of identity, not the anxiety of desire. It is not about running after a distant future, but about becoming the reflection of this future today. It is an invitation to rehearse life that is already yours in potential. Rehearsing not as a lie, but as a memory of who you have always been in essence. Identity is like a song you play without realizing it. Each note influences the environment. Each melody attracts people who vibrate at the same frequency. You can choose to repeat the old song ever, or you can learn to compose a new one. The world will dance according to the melody you support. And beauty is that this choice is always in your hands. Today, as you lie down to rest, think about it. Not as an effort, but as a soft rehearsal. Close your eyes and feel the role you want to live. See yourself walking inside this character. Realize confidence, serenity, clarity. Allow the body to memorize these sensations. Let the mind accept this version, which the heart beats in the measure of this new self. Gradually, this identity is no longer rehearsal and becomes reality. You are not stuck to what was yesterday. It is not condemned to the roles that the world has tried to impose you. You are the dreamer behind the dream, and it can, at any moment, dream differently. With each choice, with every breath, every thought accepted, you redefine who it is. And when this happens, it's not just you that changes. The whole universe needs to change together. Every time you look at the world, something silent happens. It's not just the act of seeing, but of shaping. Your attention acts as an invisible brush that draws the forms of experience. What you choose consistency begins to gain density, as if the simple fact of looking was also to sculpt. Many believe they are hostage to what they see, but the truth is that each look is a creative choice. Modern science has already intuited this mystery in speaking of the observer's effect, but mystics had known him for centuries. They knew that where the look rests, the energy focuses, and where energy focuses, reality bends. Imagine an increased lens. When the light goes on, it has no strength to change anything, but when it is concentrated, it burns the paper. So is the attention, spread in 1,000 concerns, loses power. Focused on a clear view, it lights transformations. Now think about how many times you have taken themselves watching the lack, the scarcity, the fear. Each repetition of this look works as fuel to keep this version of reality alive. It is not punishment, it is consistency. The field around you just echoes what you feed with the focus. This is why concern weighs so much, because it is repeated observation of a scenario that you do not want. But when fixing yourself, you strengthen. The opposite is also true. When you direct your gaze to what you appreciate, feel gratitude, contemplate the beauty of what already exists, the field responds by expanding these notes. It is as if the world were a living mirror, returning in multiple ways what you most consistently observe. This is the gift hidden in attention. It is not passive, it is creative. The inevitable question arises: how to redirect the look when fear seems so insistent? The answer is not in fighting him, because fighting with the shadow is, in a way, continuing to illuminate it. The secret is to learn to gently return the look as many times as necessary, what you really want. No strength is needed. It is practical. Just as the body muscles are strengthened with repetition, the attention muscles also become firm when you train to return to the chosen focus. Visualize your conscience as a musical instrument in a large room. If you vibrate in the grace grade, the whole room resonates empty. If it vibrates in the full note, The entire space responds with abundance. It is impossible to support both melodies at the same time. The sound you insist on playing becomes the trail of your life. And the most impressive is that even the imagination is part of this process, because the subconscious does not distinguish between what the physical eyes see and what the mind imagines. For him, all sustained view with emotion is observation. This means that when you close your eyes and visualize the life you want, you are already feeding the field as if it were present. The invisible responds to the internal visa with the same fidelity that responds to the external. Therefore, dedicating a few minutes to silent contemplation of what you want to live is not a waste of time. It's sowing. Each internal image is a grain thrown into the fertile soil of the subconscious. It is not about creating with despair, but of nourishing with constancy. The world responds generously to those who sustain vision even without immediate evidence. Just as the seed remains invisible before breaking the earth, the results of the gaze take time to emerge. But when they arise, they always seem to have been there, just waiting for the moment to reveal themselves. The ancient traditions spoke of the eye as a portal of creation. They warned of the risk of fixing in the shadows because observing them was to invite them. But they also encouraged to contemplate light, because in doing so, it became inevitable that it came to meet. Everything you observe with faith approaches. Everything you insist on ignoring with fear also finds a way to return. The choice is always yours. Perhaps now you realize why the weight of worries has seemed greater than your strength. You are not being defeated by fate, but by focus. The good news is that it is not too late to change. Each moment offers the opportunity to train the look again. Not with violence, not in a hurry, but soft. Divine what is not good, return to what you want. Repeat as many times as you need. Gradually, the gaze gets used to it and goes naturally to rest on what it raises. Practice it now. Close your eyes for a moment and choose a scene of life you want to live. It can be simple: a conversation in peace, a quiet home, a job that gives you satisfaction. See this scene before you as if it were already happening. Note every detail. Feel the colors, listen to the sounds, notice the atmosphere. Do not fight to believe. Just allow yourself to contemplate. The more you get used to this exercise, the easier it becomes. And remember, nothing you observe with love is wasted. Even when the fruits do not seem to appear, something has already moved in the invisible field. The seeds germinate in silence before sprouting. Trust in this process. Redirect your look every time you need it. Each return is one step towards realignment. Thus, life is no longer a random succession of events and becomes a dance between what you observe and what reveals itself. You are no longer a victim of the scenario and becomes a painter of the screen. Attention, after all, is the most valuable currency you have. Where it spends it, reality invests. There is a time when the effort ceases to work. You try to control every detail, try to push life where you think you should go, but the more strength you apply, the more it seems to resist. It's like holding the sand with your hands closed. The more tighten, the more grains escape your fingers. This is where you discover the wisdom of surrender. Far from being weakness, it is the purest form of power. Think of the wind that crosses the mountains. He does not need to force the passage, need not fight the stones. It only finds the way between the valleys and continues to follow. So it happens to you. When you let out your obsession with control, life finds passages that you would never have calculated. Surrender does not mean withdrawal. It means recognizing that there is greater intelligence, a flow that knows better than the fear you should go. You may have already lived it. Moments when everything seemed caught until, tired of insisting, you just let go. And then, almost like magic, something opened. An unexpected door, an unlikely meeting, a solution that was not on the map. These episodes were not coincidental. These were signs that the current was already present, just hoping that you would stop fighting it. The body feels it before the mind. When you surrender, your shoulders relax, your breath deepens, your hands are no longer tense. It is as if each muscle understood that you no longer need to fight. This physical gesture sends a direct message to the subconscious. I trust. And upon receiving this message, the field responds with reorganization. What seemed blocked begins to move because you are no longer an obstacle. The mind fears surrender because it believes that without control there is no security. But the truth is exactly the opposite. The more it tries to control, the more resistance creates. The more it allows, the more space opens for harmony. It's like rowing against the current. You exhaust yourself, but you don't leave the place. When loosening the oars and adjust your body to the movement of the water, it suddenly realizes that it is being taken forward without effort. The surrender is a paradox. The more you trust, the faster you advance. Not because it is pushing, but because it has finally stopped opposing. It's like opening the candles of a boat. As you insist on rowing against the wind, nothing works. But when he opens the candles and surrenders to the direction of the breath, he discovers that the same force that once seemed to disturb now becomes his impulse. This practice is not only poetic, it is deeply practical. How many times have you worn out trying to force results that only brought frustration? And how many times, when relaxing and waiting, things fit more perfectly than you imagined? This is no chance. It is the silent law of surrender in action. The field doesn't need you to push. You just need you to allow it. This does not mean staying still without acting. It means acting without tension, without fear, without excessive attachment to the how. You still choose the boat, still hold the rudder, still decide the direction. But let the invisible current do the heavier job. It's a partnership. You take the step, and life opens the way. Sometimes surrender is simply to stop fighting their own feelings. Recognize fear instead of hiding it. Allow sadness to manifest rather than pretend strength. This act of honesty makes room for energy to flow again. What you resist persists. What you accept transforms. The ancient masters told stories of men and women who only found abundance after releasing everything they thought to control. They taught that the greatest power was not in holding firm, but to rely on the invisible. Because the invisible does not miss. The river never forgets the sea, even when it is lost between curves. So, also, your life. Even if you don't see, there is a bigger destination attracting you to you. Now try a small exercise. Close your eyes, inspire deeply, and imagine that you are holding a weight on your shoulders. It can be a concern, a plan that didn't work out, anxiety about the future. Hold this image for a few seconds. And now, when releasing the air, imagine that this weight slips from the shoulders and disappears. Repeat a few times. With each expiration, more lightness. This simple gesture teaches your body and mind that releasing is not losing, but making room to receive. Surrender is an act of practical faith. Not a blind faith, but a confidence tested by the experience. Each time you let out, something aligns. Each time you trust, something fits. It is a law as accurate as gravity. It doesn't matter if you believe it or not. It works. The challenge is just allowing yourself to prove. And when you practice this delivery night after night, especially before bed, the subconscious absorbs this frequency. Sleep becomes a silent laboratory where life begins to reorganize around your trust. You fall asleep in surrender and wake up on alignment. Gradually, it finds that it is not you who need to run after life. It is life that approaches when you make room. Therefore, take a deep breath and allow yourself to experience this truth. You were not made to swim against all currents. It was made to learn to dance with them. It is not exceeded as one gives up, but as those who understand that victory has never been in strength, but in fluidity. Every true transformation begins in silence, not in the noise of visible achievements, but in the hidden work that happens when no one is looking. Think of the apparently empty earth of a garden. For hasty eyes, there is nothing happening, but in underground, roots already extend, sprouts prepare, life is organized. It is in this invisible space that the future begins to be born. So it is with you. The deepest changes do not appear immediately. You can look at the days and think nothing moves, that your efforts are useless, that your intentions do not generate results. But behind what you see, there is a silent code in progress. The seed does not show its power on the first day. She respects a rhythm that cannot be rushed. This is the principle of the seed. Trust what is not seen. As the mind wants proof, the heart needs to learn to wait. Impatience is how to dig the earth every day to see if the sprout was born. This gesture doesn't help, just get in the way. But when you decide to trust, even without evidence, the earth keeps the secret until it's time to reveal. The same goes for the dreams you carry. Maybe today they seem distant, but that doesn't mean they are not alive. Every intention you support with faith is a seed planted in the subconscious soil. Hurry may even scream inside you, but the code is already written. And when conditions are confidence, patience, surrender, growth becomes inevitable. Life always knew how to work with cycles. Winter never means definitive death, only spring preparation. The trees that lose leaves are not at the end, but in fertile pause. So also your period of apparent empty. They are not defeat, but incubation. Behind the calm, something is organized to flourish in great time at the right time. Think about how many times you thought you were still, just to realize that this moment was essential. A wait that matured his vision. A delay that made you choose a better path. A break that strengthened its roots before lifting larger branches. This is the mystery of the seed principle. Even what seems absence can be part of the plan. But be careful with what you feed. Every word you repeat is like water or poison over the seed. If you tell yourself that it won't work, you are putting stones on the ground. If you insist on affirming confidence, it is making room for life to flourish. It's simple, but it requires discipline. Keeping your mouth and thoughts is to protect the inner garden. Try seeing your desires not as things that need to be manufactured, but as seeds that already have within themselves the full drawing. The apple is already in the potential of the apple seed. The oak is already contained in the small grain that seems insignificant. So also the version of you who want to be born is already coded within its essence. You do not invent who becomes, just reveals. It is common to feel frustration in the face of delay. The immediacy of modern life teaches that everything should happen quickly, like a button that you press to have instant response. But the great movements follow another logic. They obey the time of nature, not to the human clock. Those who understand this live in peace because he realizes that every day, even the silent is already building the future. The seed does not need anxiety to grow. Need confidence. It needs repetition. You need conditions you can offer: gratitude, faith, and delivery. 3 simple elements, but nourishing more than any desperate effort. Gratitude makes room. Faith supports the invisible. Delivery releases resistance. When these 3 meet, growth is right. Now think about your own internal garden. What seeds have you watered? Perhaps some are old, wishes you almost forgot. Others may be new, planted recently. It doesn't matter. They all carry within themselves the power to reveal themselves at the right time. Its function is not to pull the plant ahead of time, but to protect the process. Do this with small gestures. Each morning, choose a trusted phrase. Each night, imagine yourself living the reality you want. They are drops of water that over the days keep the promise alive. It may seem little, but it is in the constancy that the miracle reveals itself. One day, almost unknowingly, the sprout breaks the earth, and what you sustained in the invisible proves before the eyes. The principle of seed teaches something liberating. You do not need to carry the weight of manufacturing your destination. It is already coded within you. Its role is to nourish, protect, and trust. The rest happens naturally. Therefore, as long as you prepare to fall asleep, remember, no matter if today the field looks empty, there is life moving under the surface. There are roots growing in silence. There are promises waiting for the right time to flourish. And when they flourish, you will realize that nothing has been stopped. Everything always walked, even when you didn't see. The night has never been just rest. She is a passage. When the body surrenders to sleep, another dimension opens in silence. It is like crossing an invisible corridor between the visible world and the inner world. As the physical eyes close, the eyes of consciousness turn inward, and begin to make realities. Sleep is a secret laboratory where the conscious mind relaxes and the subconscious assumes command, imprinting on the invisible fabric of life what you lead with you to fall asleep. Therefore, the moment before bed is so precious. It acts as the gateway to the most powerful workshop you have. What you choose to think, feel, and visualize at this moment is not forgotten. It is deeply recorded, as if it were instruction to the field that organizes its reality. How many times, without realizing it, did you fall asleep with worries, fears, and regrets repeating in your mind? Each of these images descended straight to the fertile ground of the subconscious, being cultivated all night, and the next day, inevitably, brought echoes of this energy. But this same law works in reverse. If you fall asleep with trust, gratitude, and images of fullness, these seeds spread in your mind like silent flames. Sleep is in charge of strengthening them, as if every dream was a water watering what you planted. By awakening, you already feel that something has changed. Not a forced change, but a natural feeling that life is aligning. The ancients have always treated sleep as a ritual. It was not only seen as a body break, but as a spiritual ceremony. Before closing their eyes, they recited intentions, created mental images, thanked what they already had, made the pillow an altar, and they understood that the unconscious does not distinguish between reality and imagination. It only obeys the vibration it receives. You can adopt this same ritual. When you lie down, instead of passing on the problems of the day, choose a single image that represents what you want to live. It doesn't have to be complex. It can be you at peace in your home. It can be a harmonious conversation. It may be complete and safe. Hold this image with tenderness, not despair. Allow it to be the last flame accesses in your mind before sleep comes. This image will enter the subconscious portal and will be cultivated as a silent order to reality. The body rests, but consciousness does not sleep. It is still active, browsing dimensions where time and space work differently. It is in this state that messages, intuitions, and solutions can arise without effort. How many times have you woke up with a new idea, unexpected clarity, as if the answer had been blown overnight? It was no chance. It was the sleep portal fulfilling its function. Conscious sleep is, therefore, one of the simplest and most powerful practices of transformation. It does not require physical effort. It does not require complex rituals. Just ask for intent. And this intention, repeated night after night, begins to redesign the internal standard. Each dawn, a little more than the old one dissolves and a little more of the new strengthening. The conscious mind may resist during the day, but at night it relaxes the guard. It is at this moment that the subconscious opens without filters, directly receiving the impressions you choose to offer. This means that each night is a sacred opportunity for reprogramming. Each night is a chance to leave the old man behind and rehearse the new you. Don't worry about creating perfect images. It is not the sharpness of vision that matters, but the emotion that accompanies it. If by imagining the desired future you feel calm, gratitude, or joy, it is enough. The subconscious is more sensitive to emotions than to words. It does not require absolute clarity, but vibrational consistency. Perhaps at first, your mind try to bring doubts, memories, or distractions. Don't fight against it. Just return gently to the chosen image. Over time, this return becomes natural, and the last vibration before bed becomes the one you really want to cultivate. As well as a trail of water that digs its way on the stone, the repetition of this gesture opens a deep groove in the subconscious. Realize that you are not alone in this process. The night itself works in your favor. Sleep was designed as an ally of life, not just as a break, but as an organizing force. When you learn to cooperate with it, the transformation becomes inevitable. What you are rehearsing internally is sewn in the fabric of reality, ready to appear when time awakens. So, before you fall asleep, make your room a temple. Turn off the lights, take a deep breath, release the concerns. Choose the image of the new you. Hold it for a moment and allow sleep to take it with you. Trust that at dawn this seed will be more rooted in your mind, ready to flourish in the form of concrete experiences. Sleeping never will just sleep. It will be aligning with life, allowing reality to organize around what you really want to be. Each night is a portal, every dream a road, each awakening a new chance to live closer than it is already written in its essence. There is an invisible force that silently guides every step of your life. It is not visible as the wind is not, but you feel your presence in everything. This force is called belief. Not what you say believes superficially, but what deep down your heart accepts as truth. This is what determines what blooms and what falls apart in its way. People often confuse desire with belief. Desire is wanting. Belief is to assume. The desire stretches his hand to something distant, but the belief already holds him as if it was part of himself. And this is where life responds. Because the universe does not echo fragile wills, he responds to silent conviction. What you sustain repeatedly, even without realizing it, is what turns into reality. Look at your story and you will see. Many achievements were not only born of effort, but of the intimate certainty that they were possible. And many defeats did not come from lack of talent, but from the hidden seed of doubt that, repeatedly planted, grew until it became an obstacle. It is as if belief is an invisible mold that defines the contours of your experience. If the mold is small, life is compressed. If the mold is wide, it expands. Imagine your belief as a magnetic field. All that approaches is reorganized according to the intensity of this field. A fragile belief pulls fragments. A firm belief attracts fullness. It doesn't matter if you declare 1,000 positive phrases. If at the bottom of the chest there is an opposite belief, it will win. The subconscious is not mistaken. It does not respond to what you repeat mechanically, but to what you repeat with emotion, with insistence, until it becomes natural. That's why you often see seemingly confident people on the outside, but who live small results inside. Because at the invisible level they carry beliefs of scarcity, non-merit, limitation. These beliefs operate as silent contracts that reality faithfully fulfills, not for punishment, but out of accuracy. The field returns exactly what you authorize through the convictions you accept. The good news is that beliefs are not eternal arrests. They are molds, and molds can be changed. You may have inherited beliefs from family, school, society. Perhaps for years he has repeated stories that were not his own. But just as an outfit can be changed, you can wear new convictions. The secret is in repetition. The subconscious understands the language of insistence. A phrase said once it may be lost, but a truth reaffirmed every day begins to root. Try this with simple gestures. Upon waking up, declare silently, I am enough. I am capable. I am abundant. Perhaps at first, words seem hollow, but over time, they gain body. It's like filling a vase with drops of water. The first drop seems insignificant, but many drops together overflow. So also beliefs. Each repetition adds strength until it becomes part of its being. And then when the belief stands, the signs begin to emerge. Small coincidences, unexpected opportunities, unlikely encounters. Not because you came to deserve suddenly, but because your field has finally accepted that reality as normal. The world does not resist consistency. When you vibrate certainty, the universe responds with evidence. But beware, just as strengthening beliefs build, limiting beliefs also create. Repeating daily, "It doesn't work for me," is a ritual as powerful as claiming otherwise. Life does not differentiate if you have asked or feared. It only returns the sustained vibration. Therefore, protecting the mind is essential. Keeping thoughts, words, and images is not naivete, it is spiritual discipline. Breed deep down is like a lens that color everything you see. Two people may go through the same situation, but one sees opportunity, while the other sees only threat. It is not the event that changes, but the internal filter. Changing belief is changing the lens, and by changing the lens, the whole world changes color. Do not confuse belief with stubbornness. Stubbornness is insisting on what does not flow. Belief is trusting what already vibrates within you. It is not rigid, it is smooth and firm at the same time, like the trunk of a tree that swings in the wind, but does not break. When belief is true, You feel peace even without immediate evidence. It is like walking in darkness knowing that the floor will form under its feet with each step. Now, before you fall asleep, note what beliefs you are taking to the night. Are they beliefs of fear or trust? Are they beliefs of lack or fullness? Remember, sleep extends what you deliver. If you give doubt, you will wake up surrounded by proof of doubt. If you give confidence, you will awaken in a world that confirms your faith. The night portal does not judge, just multiplies. Therefore, choose carefully what supports in the heart. Make belief a fertile field and not a prison. Consciously decide what you want to accept as truth and repeat until this truth becomes natural. Because in the end, it is not what you want you to shape your life, but what, without realizing it, you believe it is already yours. From an early age, we have been taught what effort is synonymous with value. We applaud those who sacrifice ourselves, exalt who does not rest, romanticize the weight of carrying the world on the shoulders. But in silence, many of these apparent heroes are just attached to a cycle of exhaustion. There is a truth that is rarely told. Effort does not approach, often away. Because by insisting on proving value by the fight, you send to the universe the message that it is not yet enough. Allowing is the opposite language. It does not mean crossing arms or abandoning responsibilities, but recognizing that there is a natural rhythm in everything. Think of a flower. She doesn't pull her own petals to open faster. It only responds to sunlight and at the right time, blooms. The desperate effort is like trying to open a pink button. In the process, it destroys what could be beautiful. To allow it is to trust that nature already knows how to reveal itself. How many times have you noticed running after results, just to feel that the more you searched, the more they escaped? This is because excessive effort keeps you at the frequency of not yet. Already allowing it is to vibrate in the already. It's like being in front of a door. Those who push with despair never seem to open it, but those who can calmly discover that the passage was available all the time. Allowing is not inertia, it is alignment. It is taking guided steps, not pushed by fear. It is to act lightly, knowing that each movement finds support from the invisible field. It is walking without the anxiety of having to control every detail, because you know that life cooperates with those who cooperate with oneself. Observe a bird in flight. He does not debate against the wind. It opens its wings and lets the air current sustain it. The effort would be to try to beat wings frantically all the time. To allow it is to find the exact point where the wind is part of the journey. So it is with you. There is an invisible wind blowing toward you. When you insist on fighting him, she wears out. When you learn to trust, you find that you can go much further with much less effort. Society values those who never stop, but nature values those who harmonize. The river does not need speeches to prove that it is following the way. It simply flows. There is no tension, there is constancy. Similarly, life responds better to a quiet constancy than to the agitated despair. What you allow approaching, what you force you move away. You may ask yourself, how to practice this state to allow? The answer begins with consciousness. First, notice what areas of your life you are still struggling. Ask yourself, am I acting for confidence or for fear of losing? This simple question already brings clarity. Then try releasing some of the control. Take a deep breath and choose to take only the next step without predicting all the details of the path. When you do this, you make room for life to show solutions that you would not have calculated. Another point is the internal language, words of excessive effort. I need, I have to. If I don't do, nothing happens. Just reinforce scarcity. Already words of permission. I choose, I trust, I'm ready. Align you with the field. Because allowing it is first and foremost a vibrational stance. It is assuming that the scenario already exists and that its function is just to put itself in tune with it. Think about sleep. You don't force your body to sleep. There is no command button. What you do is create the conditions. Turn off the light, lie down, relax. And then, of course, sleep comes. So it is with bigger dreams. It's no use forcing, but you can create internal conditions: trust, calm, clarity. The rest happens as a result. Allowing it also requires courage. Courage not to give in to the temptation of control. Courage not to compare to the time of others. Courage to believe that your life has your own rhythm. In a world that applauds unbridled effort, trusting the flow is a revolutionary act. But it is this act that separates those who live tired from those who live aligned. Now, while you get ready to rest, do a simple exercise. Remember something you want. Take a deep breath, and instead of thinking about how you will achieve, just imagine what it's like to live in this reality. See walking, feeling, experimenting. Allow yourself to taste the sense of completeness as if it were now. This gesture, repeated night after night, is the practice of allowing. He teaches your subconscious that you are all ready, and the field responds, aligning everything around you. This is not lazy, but wisdom. You are not made to carry the weight of the whole universe. It was made to walk in tune with him. The more you insist on controlling, the more you wear out. The more you learn to allow, the more you find that life has always been ready to cooperate. So let go. Allow. Let the flow be part of the process. Because the truth is simple. Reality does not resist those who trust. Within each desire there is a call. It is not a whim. It is not a simple impulse of the ego, but a silent compass pointing to the direction of your soul. What you feel like a deep yearning is not trying to fool you. You are trying to guide you. True desire is not born to imprison, but to reveal the next step on the way. But from an early age we were taught to suspect what we want. They said that wanting was weakness, that seeking something for themselves was selfishness, that aspiration of the other was superb. And so many drown out their inner voice, trying to live according to external rules. But the desire does not die. It may be pushed to the bottom but keeps vibrating like a hidden flame. And the more you try to erase, the more you realize that he returns, asking for attention. There is a clear difference between true desire and illusory desire. The illusory is noisy, urgent, loaded with anxiety. It is like hunger that you never quench. Already the true is constant, even silent. You don't have to scream because you know it's part of your destination. It's like an underground river. You can ignore it, but it keeps running until you find out. True desire is magnetic. It not only moves you forward, but also reorganizes the field around you. When you assume you with confidence, it becomes an internal sun whose gravity attracts people, opportunities, and circumstances. It is not magic, it is consistency. The world bends to what vibrates with stable intensity. Think of a star. She doesn't run after the planets. It only exists in its own greatness, and by the force of its gravity, all around it finds orbit. Such is also the authentic desire. When you respect you, it creates order around you. When it rejects it, it generates disharmony because it denies itself. You may be afraid to wish because at some point you associated the desire with disappointment, but frustration does not mean that the call was false. It only means that there were resistance, doubts, or fears interfering with the flow. The desire itself remains pure. It is like fire, can warm and illuminate when well cared for, or may burn when neglected. The problem is never fire, but as you relate to it. To align with desire, the first step is to stop treating it as an enemy. Listen to him as who listens to a loyal friend. Ask, what are you trying to show me? Perhaps the desire for freedom reveals that his soul calls for space to express himself. Perhaps the desire for abundance is the reminder that you were born to expand, not to shrink. Perhaps the desire for love is the reflection of his own essence asking to be shared. Allowing yourself to feel this desire does not mean falling into need. It means recognizing the inner compass. It is transforming the craving towards. Because authentic desire does not ask for despair. He asks for confidence. When you imagine yourself already living the desired reality, you feel peace instead of missing. Feel gratitude instead of scarcity. This peace is a sign that desire is not illusion, it is called. Practice this at night. Before bed, choose a true wish and allow it to occupy your heart as if it were already real. No need to imagine every external detail. Just feel the vibration of completeness it brings. What would it be to rest knowing that it is already part of your life? This feeling is the key, because the subconscious does not distinguish between future and present. He just records the emotion. Over time, you realize that true desire does not require persecution. He would not run, does not require you to spend your energy trying to grab the world. He only asks you to align itself internally, to vibrate as who has already received. And when this happens, the universe adjusts to deliver the reflection. To ignore this call is to live disconnected from yourself. To follow him is to walk in harmony with the soul. And when you choose to honor your true desires, you find that they were not personal whims but maps drawn within you from the beginning. They were not placed by chance. These are signs that reality has already prepared to receive it. Therefore, it does not theme the flame that burns in the chest. She is a guide, not enemy. It is direction, not illusion. Desire is not weakness. It is soul language. When you welcome this fire with confidence, it stops burning and enlightens. The human mind holds a secret workshop. It is an invisible space where everything that exists in the physical world was born first as an image. Before any bridge is built, someone saw her inside. Before any music echoes in the air, someone heard her in silence. Before any new life is shaped, someone dreamed it. This sacred space is called imagination. Many treat the imagination as if it was a child's play, something smaller, without real use. But what they call fantasy is, in fact, the cradle of all creation. When you close your eyes and start visualizing, you are stirring the invisible wires that organize the fabric of reality. Because for the subconscious, there is no difference between what has happened and what you imagine with intensity. Both are recorded as memories. Therefore, imagination is one of the most powerful tools you have. When used without consciousness, it can become a trap, creating scenarios of fear, failure, and repetition. But when used intentionally, it opens doors to new realities. What you rehearse inside begin to manifest on the outside. It's like preparing the stage before the curtains open. Think of an actor who prepares for a play. Before taking the stage, he repeatedly rehearses, experiences speeches, tests, gestures, creates the internal atmosphere of his character. With each test, the paper becomes more natural, until, on the day of the presentation, he is no longer playing. He became the character. So it also happens when you rehearse the life you want internally. The repetition of the imagination transforms the unlikely into a family, until its reality has no choice but to follow. The key is not just to see images, but to feel them. Because the subconscious is moved by emotion. You can imagine a prosperous future in a cold and mechanical way, but if you do not feel the vibration of fullness, this vision does not create roots. Now, if you close your eyes and feel in your body the joy, calm, and gratitude of already living that, this emotion is printed as truth. The body does not distinguish whether it is memory or test. He just vibrates. Take a simple test. Imagine now that you are facing a landscape you always dreamed of knowing. See the colors, feel the wind, notice the sounds. Now allow a true emotion to appear within you, as if you were really there. The heart accelerates, the muscles relax, the breath adjusts. This reaction is real even though the scene is only in your mind. This is the power of imagination. Create physical effects from invisible images. But beware, the same force you can build can also limit. If you get used to imagining scenarios of failure, the mind treats it as an essay. And like every rehearsal, sooner or later becomes a spectacle. The external world is organized to reflect the piece you insist on training inside. Therefore, watching the imagination is so essential. Treat it as sacred territory. Do not deliver your internal workshop for repetitive concerns. Direct it with intention, even for a few minutes a day. Visualize small scenes of harmony, successful, well-being. These small practices accumulate strength, such as bricks that stacked daily become wall. The great creators, mystics, and even scientists knew it. Many reports show that inventions emerged in dreams, insights were born in internal views, masterpieces were first seen in the silence of the mind. They understood that imagination was not an escape, but communication with the invisible field. When you imagine, you are releasing a frequency that organizes the invisible to your advantage. It doesn't have to be complex. Sometimes a single repeated scene is enough. Imagine yourself smiling in peace. Imagine yourself living what you want naturally. Imagine yourself thanking something that has happened. And repeat. It is not the intensity of a single view that moves mountains, but the constancy of repeating until it becomes natural. Imagination is not about inventing a future, but about accessing possibilities that already exist in the countryside. When you view, you are tuning a frequency. It's like turning the radio button. The season was already on the air, you just aligned yourself. The future you want already exists in potential. It's up to you to tune it inside you until it becomes inevitable. And here is the most liberating point. You already imagine all the time. When you worry, you are rehearsing the worst. When you dream awake, you are rehearsing the best. The difference is consciousness. What will you choose to rehearse today? Because the piece you train in silence is the same as you will come true. Therefore, treat your imagination as your particular temple. Use it with reverence. Feed it with images that raise, not with ghosts that drain. Repeat with emotion. Transform it into daily practice. And when you least expect it, you will realize that what seemed only rehearsal is already happening before your eyes. There is a sound that never ceases inside you. It is not audible to ordinary ears, but vibrates in each cell, every thought and every emotion you sustain. This sound is your inner resonance, and without you realizing it, it works as a secret melody that organizes everything around you. Life not only responds to what you say you want, she responds to what you really vibrate. This is why, often, even with good intentions, the results do not seem to correspond. The field does not follow speeches, follows frequencies. You can repeat 1,000 times that you believe in abundance, but if your heart pulsates into fear, what prevails is the note of fear. Imagine an orchestra. If each instrument plays a different melody, the result is noise. But when everyone aligns in the same note, the music comes up. So it is with you. When thoughts, emotions, and beliefs play together, the field responds with harmony. This consistency creates resonance, and resonance attracts compatible experiences. You may have already felt that. Those days when everything seems to conspire in favor, as if every detail was in sync. Or on the contrary, days when everything goes wrong, as if chaos had chosen you. They are not coincidences. These are answers to the frequency you carry. The external world is a faithful mirror of the inner tone. Resonance cannot be fooled. She doesn't let herself manipulate by beautiful words. It only recognizes the real vibration. It's like a tuning fork. If you play a certain note, another nearly frequency vibrates at an effort. Nothing can prevent this alignment. Likewise, nothing remains in your life if you find no resonance within you. People, situations, and even objects vibrate in tune with what you sustain. When something insists on repeating, the question is not, why does it happen to me? But, what within me still vibrates this note? Life is too accurate to be random. What returns without ceasing is not unlucky. It is resonance. The chaos you see outside only echoes the disharmony that vibrates inside. The order you appreciate in the world is a reflection of the harmony you cultivated. This may seem hard, but it is also liberating, because it means you can always change your melody. You are not convicted of old notes. At any time, you can tune your internal instrument. You can choose different breathing, think differently, feel different. And in changing the note, the world inevitably changes the answer. But there is one detail. It is not enough to align only the thought. The mind can say, "I am abundant," while the heart still trembles with fear. This dissonance weakens the field. The secret is to align mind and heart. When both touch the same note, the vibration becomes irresistible. It is as if the whole universe is attracted to this consistency. Modern science has already detected this. The heart emits a more powerful magnetic field than that of the brain. When feelings such as gratitude, love, and peace are sustained, this field expands and influences the environment. The ancients called it, "open the inner temple." Different names, but same truth. The resonance of the heart is the strongest of all. So if you want abundance, start feeling her before seeing her. If you want peace, breathe as one already has it. If you want love, walk like who already overflows. It is not illusion, it is alignment. You don't attract for the effort, but for the vibration, and the more coherent you become, the faster reality responds. It is common that by changing frequency, the external world seems to resist. Old patterns still echo, like old notes that have not fully dissolved. Do not interpret it as failure. See as a sign of transition. The field is recalibrating. If you remain firm in the new melody, the old man inevitably crumbles and the new prevails. Think of a glass full of cloudy water. If you start pouring clean water, dirt does not disappear immediately. First you stir, mix, seem to increase, but if you keep spilling clean water, soon the glass is crystalline. So it is with resonance. At first, the waste of the past still appears, but constantly, the new frequency replaces the old one. This is the responsibility and also the gift you carry. Life is always listening to the song you play. Each thought accepted, every emotion sustained, every belief chosen is a note added to the melody. And the field never misses. It returns the exact concert of what you vibrate. So make your life a conscious song. Choose your notes carefully. Align mind and heart. Stay firm even when the old echoes try to distract you. Because the truth is simple. Reality cannot resist consistency. Emotions have always been seen by many as something to be controlled, hidden, or avoided. From an early age, we hear phrases such as, "swallows crying," "do not show weakness," "be strong." But this strength they taught us is not true. It is a mask. True strength is not in choking what we feel, but in transforming the energy that inhabits every emotion. This is the path of emotional alchemy, taking what looks weight and converting it into light. Think about the fire. If you fear you and try to delete it without understanding, it can destroy. But if you learn to conduct it, you can warm, illuminate, and even cook the food that sustains your life. So it is with emotions. Anger, sadness, fear, or shame all carry raw energy, hoping to be cut. The error is not in feeling them, but in rejecting them. What you push under the rug does not disappear. It just accumulates, waiting for the chance to explode. Alchemy begins in acceptance. Tell yourself, "Yes, I feel it." This simple phrase makes room for energy to move. What is seen dissolves. What is denied is stiff. When you name a feeling, he loses the monster mask and reveals himself as a messenger. Anger may show that a limit has been exceeded. Sadness can reveal an essential value you have forgotten to honor. Fear may indicate that it is about to cross a growth portal. Each emotion is a disguised teacher. Now see the beauty of this. Instead of fighting your feelings, you can dialogue with them. Ask, "What did you come to teach me?" This posture changes everything. From the victim of emotions, you become their apprentice. And little by little, the monsters reveal themselves as guides. In practice, transforming emotions is an exercise of presence. When you are afraid, instead of choking it, breathe deeply and say, "I recognize you." The simple act of looking begins to dissolve the load. It's like putting light in a dark room. The shadow disappears not because it fought, but because it was illuminated. The same is true of sadness. Allow yourself to cry when necessary, but cry conscientiously, like who is cleaning the soul. Each tear can be seen as an inner river taking old pain. Anger, if welcomed, can become courage. Fear, when understood, can become wise prudence. Sadness, honored, can become deep compassion. No emotion is waste. all are raw material. And when you learn to transmute, you realize that even the denser ones keep hidden gold. The ancient alchemists sought to turn lead into gold. Today we understand that this metaphor talks about something much deeper, transforming density into consciousness, weight into wisdom. The lead of anger, insecurity, pain, all can be converted into gold when you choose to integrate instead of denying it. This is the true philosopher's stone, consciousness that does not reject any part of itself. Modern science confirms what the ancients already knew. Repressed emotions affect the body, create tensions, get sick organs. Emotions expressed with presence with balance, release energy, strengthen the immune system. That is, transforming emotions is not only a spiritual but also physical process. The body heals when the soul allows itself to feel. But how to cultivate this in everyday life? Start small. Choose a moment when you feel a strong emotion. Instead of reacting automatically, pause. Take a deep breath 3 times. Ask, "What do you want to show me?" Listen in silence. It may not come immediately, but the energy will have already changed. Gradually, you create the habit of transmuting instead of repressing. This is a way of liberation, because when you learn to transform, you no longer fear your own depths. Do not fear fear. Do not fear the pain. You realize that nothing in you is enemy. Everything can be allied if understood. This confidence creates stability. You become someone who walks firmly, even into storms, because he knows he can turn any energy into life force. And here we come to an essential point. Reality does not respond to the emotions you hide, but what you integrate. The field is not mistaken. If you disguise happiness on the outside but keep unresolved pain inside, the reflection will be confusing. But when you welcome and transmute, you create consistency. And coherence always generates power. Now, while you prepare for tonight's rest, let yourself be reflected. What emotions have you avoided looking? What feelings have been asking for attention for years? Maybe today is the time to start transforming. Breathe. Recognize, thank every emotion for coming to teach something, and then allow the energy to follow the path of light. You don't have to be perfect, you just need to be willing to look. Alchemy does not happen in external laboratories, but in the silence of your heart. With each transformed emotion, a part of yours awakens stronger, more conscious, more alive. And here, at the end of this journey, I want to leave an invitation. If this content has brought value to you, it made sense in some way, subscribe here on the channel. We are building this together, and reaching the 1,000 subscribers is our first big step. Each person who enters strengthens this project and helps to give voice to independent creators like me. Also, share your story. Count on the comments how you have lived your own transformations, what emotions you have learned to transmute, or even what you discovered again while listening to this audio. Your experience can be exactly what someone else needs to find clarity and strength. And above all, thanks for being here. This space only exists because people like you believe there is more in life than just surviving. Here we believe in the transformation, consciousness, and strength that awakens when we come together. So sleep with this certainty. You are in process, and the reality is already aligning yourself with who you are becoming.